This is my take and the lessons I learned from Austin Kleon's fantastic book, Steal Like an Artist. I recently reread it and I kept copying and pasting so much of it into my notes, so I thought, why not make a video about it? And if you're new to the channel, hi, I'm Georgia. I'm a senior strategic designer at a Big 3 management consultancy. If you would like to support my channel, then please like and subscribe. It means a lot. Thank you. So let's get into this book because there's 8 really great lessons that I came away from it. Just to be clear, these lessons come directly from Steal Like an Artist, along with touches of my personal story and how I've implemented them. The first lesson is nothing new, fake it till you make it. This is such a good reminder that you have to start doing the work and doing the things required to become the person you want to be. I love this quote by Thomas Jefferson, I believe, don't quote me on that. And it is, if you want something you've never had, you have to do something you've never done. Like that's crazy, that's so true. If you want to have a life you've never had, you have to do things you've never done. If you want to become someone you've never been, you probably have to do things you've never done. And I think that comes back to this lesson from Steal Like an Artist, in that you have to fake it till you make it. You have to act a certain way. It's like when people change and people are like, whoa, you've changed, man, and that's a negative thing. That should be a positive thing. If you are changing for the better and becoming who you want to be, then that's amazing. And I think this is such a good reminder to think about who it is you want to be and what are the steps you can do today to start to be that person. So for example, what kind of clothes would this person you want to be wear? What work would they do? What would they do with their weekends? So yeah, just go out and start being the person you want to be, duh. But obviously it's not as easy as that. So I would say grab your journal, grab a pen, and here's just a little prompt to start getting the cogs turning. If the world's a stage, how do I want to show up for it? For example, what will I wear? How will I speak? What will I do on the weekend? What will I do before and after work? Start to ask yourself, how do you want to show up, and just write that down and consider that throughout your day. Lesson 2 follows on from lesson number 1, and it is find your style by copying. So Austin Kleon makes it very clear in the book though, that by copying he does not mean to plagiarize. That is bad, don't do that. To copy is more like being inspired by and then learn from. So he mentions in the book that, we're not born knowing who we are, but over time we develop a taste for what we like. That taste for what we like is so important, and we should really honor that and learn from it. So you will have a certain taste in music or a taste in fashion that is uniquely yours, and based on what you like, start to consider what you can copy from it. So pick people who you love and copy them. Don't plagiarize them, don't do that, but copy from them. When we copy, it's all about practice. Practice wearing what they would wear, practice saying what they would say, practice doing what they would do. The ultimate goal is to get to a point where you understand their thinking. And once you understand their thinking, you can start to apply your own unique perspective onto that thinking. And the most important aspect of this lesson that he mentions in the book is that you don't want to skim them. You're not skimming this homework, you're not getting the top level of what they do and how they act. You want to study them. So it's all about studying hundreds, if not thousands, of people you love, things you love, and eventually you will find your own original version of yourself. So a journal prompt for this lesson is, if I'm to copy to eventually make my own style, who are the makers and creators that inspire me? So definitely think about who inspires you. Lesson number 3 is do the work you want to see done. And this is a lesson I feel I really learned and reaped the benefits from through the startup I had with my partner. We didn't want to just be all talk. We wanted to prove ourselves, and we wanted to make something that we thought should be out in the world because it was something that we genuinely wanted to use. And so as a result of that, we did the work, and it was so fulfilling and incredibly rewarding. So I couldn't recommend this lesson enough. Doing the work you want to see done is all about considering what you want to see out in the world and then making it happen. Austin Kleon mentions make the business you want to exist, play the music you want to hear, film the movie you want to see, draw the art you want on your walls, build the product you want to use. This is such an important lesson, and especially for creatives. If you're sitting around complaining about something, maybe consider finding the solution to it. Like, that's pretty rewarding. Obviously, you mightn't make the best version ever, but at least it'll get you rolling and have you starting to create and make, which is ultimately the best thing ever and so important for our brains and our functionality. So a journal prompt for this lesson: what is the thing you want to see out in the world that isn't already there? And make that list and continuously add to that list. It'll always be changing. Every time there isn't a solution for what you think you need, write it down and then be the person who goes and makes that. This is also obviously a huge trait of designers. Designers are problem solvers. We love complaining about what's not working, and therefore we also love making the solution to what's not working. Lesson number 4 is bring your body into your work. Okay, I keep saying this to all of them, but this one's super important. And I say that because we know that our brains and our bodies are so interconnected. And if we are continuously thinking of our art, our craft, or our design as making, and we are just making with our brains on a computer and like twiddling our fingers around a little bit, then we're missing out on the other 50% of ourselves, which is our physical body, moving into that work. So Austin Kleon makes such a good point around this, and I think it's such a good reminder to, where possible, bring your body into your work. This is particularly true if you have creative block or you're just not feeling good about yourself. You can start to do the actions involved with the creative task to wake up your brain and get it thinking, oh, I'm gonna do this. For example, I didn't really feel like filming this video today, but last night I knew I had a free Saturday, so I wanted to make the most of it. So I woke up and I went through the motions. I started to make my bed, I got dressed, and I put my camera on a tripod, and by the time I'd done all of these tasks, I was like, oh, well, it makes sense to sit down and just do this video. And so that was me putting my body and the motions into place to make creativity happen. And this isn't limited to just going through the motions to eventually, wind your mind up and get into the creative headspace. It's also about putting your body into your work more physically. Yeah, how can you physically bring your body into your work? If you're a more digital creative, which part of your process could you take offline and start to go analog, cut some paper up, lay it all out in a room, start to move around and start to physically move your body as part of your creative process? So the journal prompt for this one is, if motion kickstarts your brain into thinking and doing, what motions should you remember to use for next time? For example, my job is very much on a computer most days, and obviously being on a computer can lead to a lot of creative block. So I need to remind myself to move to pen and paper. I need to remind myself, when can this task be done on paper and when does it have to be done on a computer? Alright, we're over halfway. Okay, this one's hectic. Lesson number 5. It's not that people are mean or cruel, it's just that they're busy. Like, that is so true.
Wow.
I think it's so easy to think that people are ignoring us, or why aren't they noticing me? When in reality, they're just running in their own lane. They're not noticing you because they're busy. They're so focused on what they're focused on that, sorry, you're not taking up their time. And the lesson here is, don't expect people to notice you, make them. Whew, that's a good one. That's so important to remember. It all comes down to you doing and putting your work out there and sharing and caring enough about yourself to think that you're worth someone else's time. So this lesson is all about sharing your work. Do good work, share it. Do good work, share it, and keep doing that process. Notice how I didn't say great or perfect work. Just do good work. Do work you are proud enough of, and put that out into the world, and people will be interested. They'll probably listen if you are repetitive enough. For all we know, some fantastic artists are out in the world, but they're keeping their art in their bedroom. We've never seen it before, and that is such a shame. You never know who's going to connect with you and your work. You'll be very surprised by the amount of people who do care and who are interested, as long as you make them notice you, as long as you're putting your work out there and sharing it. They're not coming into your bedroom to find the work, because people should not do that and it is illegal. So instead, you have to share your work and make them notice you. However, sharing obviously means that you are opening yourself up for criticism. So Austin Kleon has another great lesson in here, which is that validation is for parking. It took me a while to wrap my head around that. What he says, quite simply, is that people will misinterpret you, and the trick is to be too busy doing your work to care. People will say negative things, that is a fact. When you are vulnerable and share your work, you are opening yourself up for criticism. But I hope that vulnerability is more powerful and makes you more proud than any kind of troll's comment or hateful word. And as Austin Kleon mentions, just make sure you're always doing more work, getting better, improving yourself, so that you don't even have time to care about that negativity. So the journal prompt from this lesson is, what can I share over time to create my own brand and get noticed? How do you make people notice you? So that can start off really small, like sharing particular articles on LinkedIn. It could then extend to you creating a short film and uploading it on YouTube. It's literally free to do if you have all the equipment and stuff. Or it could be creating some beautiful garments and posting them on your Instagram, just to let people know what you're working on. I'm always interested in what people are working on. I assume you are, because you're watching this video, so why not share what you're working on? Okay, lesson number 6 from the book is all about filling up the world with your work. This lesson is all about creating spaces for you to share your work. So you don't want to box yourself in, and you don't want to wait until you have something to say to start saying it. You can actually start to put yourself out there and share your work to figure out what it is you want to say. And because you're on YouTube, let's make this YouTube related, you'll see so many YouTubers, and if you scroll back to what content they were making 7 years ago, it's probably going to be pretty different to what they're making today. And they only figured out what they wanted to say over time as they showed more of their work, as they built more of a community or following, as they understood more about what they cared to talk about. So this is all about creating a container or a space for you to fill with your work. You might want to choose a platform or a medium, whatever it might be, in which is your container to fill up. For me, it's this YouTube channel, and this is my container that I'm filling up with my work, and I'm learning and growing as I go. Whatever it might be, it's about considering the container that will work best for you and filling that with all of your art, all of your creativity, all your designs. So the journal prompt for this lesson is, what are the containers I can use to encourage myself to keep creating? As Austin Kleon mentions in his book, it's all about encouraging ourselves to keep creating, because by doing, we get better. Lesson number 7 is, the people you surround yourself with matter. So Austin Kleon brings up in this lesson that if you are the most talented person in the room, you need to get out of that room, because the people you surround yourself with are going to help influence who you are and who you become. And an important thing here is to remember that you don't want to be the most talented person in the room. Get your ego aside, and instead you want to find the most talented person in the room, and you want to stand next to them, and you want to learn from them, and you want to give them a hug because they're so great and you're so thankful for everything they do, with their permission though, of course. And you want to pay attention to what they're talking about, what they care about, how they're saying the things they're saying, what they're doing and what they like. You want to learn from them as much as possible. So the journal prompt for this lesson is, who should I surround myself with? And then there are 2 columns. The first is in real life. So who are the people you want to surround yourself with in person, whether that be particular people that you know, people you want to be in your circles, people you might want to work with. And then the second column is online. So who can you follow on LinkedIn that can expand your horizons and open your views? Who can you follow on Twitter, YouTube? Where else do you follow people? Instagram? I don't know, whatever it is. Who can you follow in order to expand your horizons and find new perspectives that you would otherwise be not hearing, not seeing? And now we're up to our final lesson from Steal Like an Artist. Lesson number 8 is don't romanticize time. So I really love this one. I am someone who romanticizes time. I'm like, oh, when I have 2 hours, I will achieve so much. If I took a Monday off, I could get so much more done. Oh, if I had 30 more minutes, I would achieve so much. When in reality, I consistently waste time. So instead of wasting time or romanticizing time and thinking your life would be so much better if you had more of it, let's use what we've got and let's reframe our thinking towards the blocks of time that we do have. So he mentions in the book that regular work is how you amass a body of work, which is so true. I always thought that once I squirreled away and did the hard work, I would come away with something incredible. Instead, I usually came away with nothing because I wasn't being regular or consistent with my practice. I was expecting so much of myself within a really dense period of time where I thought I could give it my all and complete it all. But instead, creating a system where you are slowly amassing a body of work has been much more successful for myself. So Austin Kleon mentions in the book, don't make excuses for not working. Make things with the time, space, and materials you have right now. Reframing that has been incredibly helpful for myself. It's all about time blocking and considering what time I do have to create rather than all the time that's taken away from me. So yeah, just a reframe of the amount of time you have versus the amount of time you don't have. So the journal prompt for this final lesson from Steal Like an Artist is, if amassing a body of work is about regular work, what work do I want to do regularly? So those are the 8 lessons I took away from Steal Like an Artist. I hope this was helpful, and yeah, if you're interested in hearing more about creativity, design, and career-related things along with lifestyle stuff, then please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!